Chapter 9. The Army on the March, Sun Tzu's The Art of War, also translated as moving the army or tactical marching. In Chapter 9, Sun Tzu focuses on the challenges and dangers of moving an army through different types of terrain. He explains how a skilled commander must analyze the landscape, weather, and enemy positions to move his troops safely and efficiently. The chapter also covers how to interpret enemy movements and detect ambushes. The key lesson of this chapter is a general who understands terrain, controls his army's movement, and correctly interprets enemy signs will dominate the battlefield before the battle even begins. The 3 types of terrain and their risks. Sun Tzu classifies landscapes into 3 main types, each with unique advantages and dangers. Type of terrain. Best strategy. Dangers to avoid. Open terrain. Flat plains, few obstacles. Move quickly, secure supply routes. Enemy can see movements easily, vulnerable to cavalry attacks. Difficult terrain. Mountains, forests, rivers. Use terrain for defense. Move carefully. Risk of ambushes, exhaustion, slow supply lines. Enclosed terrain. Valleys, narrow passes, swamps. Hold defensive positions. Block enemy movement. No escape if surrounded. Hard to reinforce troops. Example. Hannibal's Alpine crossing, 218 BCE, Second Punic War, moving a large army across treacherous mountains. Solution. Used local guides, avoided enemy ambushes, and kept morale high. Outcome. Reached Italy and later defeated the Romans at Cannae. How to move through enemy territory. Sun Tzu warns that marching into hostile territory is dangerous if not carefully planned. He provides rules for safe movement. 2.1. When to march and when to halt. Move quickly through enemy land. The longer you stay, the greater the risk. Do not camp in low ground. Floods, disease, and enemy attacks are more likely. Avoid setting up camp near rivers. If the enemy is upstream, they can poison your water or flood your position. Example, the Mongol invasions, 13th century. The Mongols moved in fast, unpredictable patterns, never staying in one place for too long. This strategy confused enemies and allowed the Mongols to control vast territories with fewer soldiers. 2.2. Using terrain for defense. Camp on high ground. It provides a better view and is easier to defend. Use forests and hills to hide movement. This prevents the enemy from tracking your army. Control bridges and passes. Whoever controls key choke points controls the battlefield. Example, Battle of Thermopylae, 480 BCE, Greece versus Persia. The Greeks used a narrow pass to neutralize the Persian numerical advantage. 3. Signs of enemy movements and their meanings. A wise general does not rely only on scouts. He also analyzes enemy actions to predict their strategy. 3.1. Interpreting the enemy's behavior. Enemy action. Likely meaning, best response. If the enemy is loud and aggressive, they are trying to boost their morale but may be weak. Delay engagement, wait for their energy to drop. If the enemy stays still but raises flags, they are waiting for reinforcements. Attack before reinforcements arrive. If the enemy moves erratically or retreats suddenly, they may be luring you into an ambush. Do not chase without scouting first. If they set many fires in their camp, they want to appear strong, but they may be covering a retreat. Investigate before attacking. If they leave their camp in disorder, they are panicked or unprepared. Attack immediately for an easy victory. Example, Battle of Trenton, 1776, American Revolution. Washington observed that the Hessians, enemy soldiers, were careless after Christmas celebrations. He attacked early in the morning while they were unprepared, leading to a major victory. 4. The 5 dangers to avoid when marching. Sun Tzu warns of 5 common mistakes generals make when moving an army. Mistake. Why it's dangerous. Historical example. 1. Marching too fast without rest. Exhausts troops, reduces combat ability. Napoleon's army in the Russian winter due to overextension, 1812. 2. Marching through unknown terrain without scouts. Risk of ambush or getting lost. The Romans were annihilated in the Teutoburg Forest, 9 CE. 3. Splitting the army too much. Easy for enemy to attack smaller groups. The French at Waterloo were defeated due to scattered units, 1815. Mach 4. Ignoring weather and natural obstacles. Bad conditions weaken the army. Hitler's invasion of Russia failed due to the harsh winter, 1941. 5. Moving without securing supply lines, starvation and lack of equipment. The British lost the American colonies due to poor supply chains, 1776 to 1783. Opposite lesson. A general who avoids these mistakes will keep his army strong and ready for battle. 5. How to trick the enemy while moving. Sun Tzu advises using deception to hide an army's true intentions. 5.1. Using fake movements. Create dust clouds in different locations to confuse scouts. Send small detachments to pretend to be the main force while the real army moves elsewhere. March at night to avoid being seen. Example: D-Day, 1944, World War II. The Allies used inflatable tanks and fake radio messages to trick the Germans into thinking the attack would happen in a different location. 5.2. Feigning weakness to lure the enemy. Pretend to retreat. If the enemy pursues, lead them into an ambush. Leave behind abandoned camps to make the enemy overconfident. Example: the Battle of Austerlitz, 1805, Napoleon versus Russia, Austria. Napoleon pretended to have a weak flank, tricking the Allies into attacking. Once they committed, Napoleon counterattacked and won a decisive victory. Nasher 6. Key takeaways from Chapter 9. 1. Terrain determines the success of an army's movement. A wise general analyzes landscapes before marching. 2. Control key locations. Bridges, mountains, rivers, and passes dictate battlefield strategy. 3. Enemy movements reveal their strategy. Careful observation can predict an attack or retreat. 4. Mistakes in marching can destroy an army. Fatigue, poor scouting, splitting forces, bad weather, and supply failures are major risks. 5. Deception is key to safe movement. False retreats, hidden routes, and misinformation confuse the enemy. Conclusion. Chapter 9, The Army on the March, teaches that war is not just about fighting, it's about movement, positioning, and deception. A skilled general moves his army wisely, avoids dangerous terrain, and anticipates the enemy's actions. Victory begins before the battle even starts, through careful planning, scouting, and psychological warfare.